Hey guys, before we get into today's video, just another quick reminder that these are saved recordings of our podcast. If you want to catch us live, head on over to twitch.tv/slightly-inappropriate with an underscore at the end on Mondays and Fridays at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Thanks, and enjoy the video.
Welcome everybody. You know me. You know Vic. And welcome to Slightly Inappropriate. Quick announcement before we get started. Victor just passed the CNA exam. So how are you feeling, Victor?
I'm feeling pretty good, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. And you may be wondering, who's this fellow in the middle, in between us? You know? You may be wondering that. Well, that's our good buddy Mike. And he happens to be a huge Batman fan. So let's turn it over to Mike right now. Introduce yourself, Mike.
Hi everybody, I'm Mike. I also run a channel on YouTube called MikesCamaro, and I'm a gamer. Kind of a noob, kind of like a experienced, kind of split mix. But
so long as you're a gamer, that's all that counts.
Hell yeah, buddy.
Before we get started, let me throw this icebreaker out to you, Mike. What was your first moment with Batman that got you thinking, oh shit, this is the person, this is the one, this is mine, this is my favorite?
So it's a funny story, actually. I was at my grandfather's house one night, and he had a bunch of VHS tapes in a box. And the first one I happened to pull out was Batman, 1989, with Michael Keaton as Batman at this point. And I popped it into the VCR, it just happened to be around, and I watched it. And I thoroughly enjoyed it, with Jack Nicholson as the Joker, and Michael Keaton as Batman.
Oh yeah, dude.
It was a very good movie. I very much enjoyed it, and from that moment on, I was instantly hooked on Batman.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah, for sure.
I think a lot of people can agree that like Batman's one of the. Some people hate Batman, but like I think the three of us can agree that Batman's one of the coolest.
Yeah,
for sure.
He is.
For sure.
100%.
Vic, how about you? What was the first instance with Batman that like got you like obsessed immediately? Because I know you're a huge Batman fan.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's see, it goes back a while. So growing up, I used to read like a bunch of comics and stuff like that. So it started off with me. One day, my mom just took me to a bookstore, and it turned out to be like a huge like comic bookstore collector. I mean, they had like other like novels and stuff like that, nonfiction, fiction, all that stuff. More fantasy stuff, right? But they had a huge selection of comic books. So one day, I was just kind of like, scrummaging around, seeing what I could find, and I pulled out a Batman comic. I don't remember what it was. It was just a random, like Detective Comics issue. But that, and then from there, it was just the start of something new and exciting. So from there, I really liked Batman.
At first sight of spandex.
I was like, bro, a dude dressed in the bat suit, let's go.
That's where it's at right there. He's a pretty cool dude.
PTSD, let's go.
Oh my goodness. As you can see, this is the type of show that we're running. And this segues perfectly into today's topic. Victor, why don't you take it away?
Yep. So for today's episode, we are doing our top 3 Batman comics. Normally we do around 5 or 7 of our favorite things, but since we have a guest, we're going to keep it, as relatively short as possible within our time frame that we normally have this podcast. So we will do 3 for today's episode. So that way everyone gets a chance to discuss what they want to discuss. So we'll do Mike first, since he is the guest.
Thank you very much. My list, I'll start off with my number 3 pick. It is going to be The Dark Knight Returns by Frank Miller.
Hell yeah.
As the main artist. I would have to say, out of every Batman artist that has ever written a comic in history, I'd have to say Frank Miller is probably one of my top tier favorite Batman artists.
Oh yeah.
In art style form. And in this story, we take a look at a more futuristic Gotham City. Batman at this rate hasn't been around the scene in a long time. The last time they saw him was a good 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And we're looking at a Gotham without Batman.
Mm-hmm.
And crime kind of escalates. The GCPD can't really handle it anymore because there's a new gang out there known as the Mutant. And it is one of the biggest, like, I would say crime bosses, crime lords, like, out there in the Batman universe.
Yeah.
But, you have this big behemoth of a guy. Like, he's not even human. He's like a meta, like, mutant myth.
Yeah.
And everybody starts to follow this group, and they become massive groups of like 20 to 30 per each side of Gotham, and everything just kind of hits the fan and explodes. So Bruce Wayne at this point is retired. He thinks to himself, Gotham City's going to shit. Like, I'm really old now. Like, I mean, literally, he's what? Like, how old is he? Like,
he's probably in his 50s at this point.
Yeah, 60s, something like that. He's
Okay.
old. He's retired.
He's
it's
old. Like,
yeah.
he's decrepit, dude. Like, his body can't take it.
Bro, my dude
No,
got
yeah.
wrinkles.
No, for real, dude.
we got the real old man Batman over here. I mean, literally. So we have a conversation between Jim Gordon and Bruce Wayne. At this point, Jim Gordon already knows that Bruce Wayne is Batman.
Yep.
So at this point, he's like, oh, well, crime's escalated. The GCPD can't do anything. And this gets Bruce Wayne thinking, like, maybe it's time to come out of retirement and kick some mutant ass. And so at this point, we end up with an older Batman first appearing, coming back. Everybody's like, oh, awesome, Batman's back. But then we have the guys who are like, oh, this city's better off without Batman. We don't need him. But when in reality, Batman facing off against the mutants is probably their best bet for, like, a safer Gotham at this point.
Yeah.
Because when Batman comes back in, he kind of kicks all sorts of ass. Half the mutants are already retreating by this point. We have them riding horseback. We got the Batmobile, which is like a giant tank at this point.
Yeah.
And does all the work for him, so he doesn't really have to do anything, So it kind of shows an older Batman with futuristic tech mixed together with a bit of, say, more of a dark, like, not like a dark time, but like, you know what I'm talking about, right? Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
It's
And-
nittier and grittier, and this is also, if I remember correctly, correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, but this is probably the most violent iteration of Batman, too.
Yeah, I think so. This was one of the, hold on, I have the,
After Dark Music, thanks for joining us.
Hi, Tom.
and then also another thing about The Dark Knight Returns, we have Joker making a comeback. At
Yeah.
this point, it seems like Joker doesn't really age, or he does age, but it doesn't look like he's kind of in like tip-top physical condition compared to Bruce Wayne
Yeah.
at this point. And he's more insane than usual. He's got more like of a crazier, demented side. We see him run amok throughout the carnival, taking people out here left and right. And it's just like, and this Joker is ruthless. Like, compared to any other Joker I've seen, this is probably one of the more ruthless Joker iterations that we have in the Batman universe.
Yeah.
And it's a really good iteration of the Joker as like more of like a serial murderous, like, killer clown. Like, he is literally the definition of killer clown.
Yeah.
So this one is really intense. And I love that about the Joker, having like a really intense like a new story, as like compared to past stories. We know this Joker is probably one of the more darker Jokers we've had in Batman.
Right. Absolutely.
So
Yeah, and it was
And
a really
I
well
would
done
say-
comic.
I would say that's why it's my favorite, because of the darker story to it, with
Yep.
the Joker mixed in with it. I would
Yep.
say that's why the Dark Knight makes it into my top 3.
Oh yeah,
Hell yeah.
absolutely, and of course we can't forget, that is also where Batman low key kind of kicks Superman's ass. I'm gonna,
Yeah.
That's
you
true,
can't
yeah.
mention the Dark Knight Returns, without also
Without
mentioning that Batman won against Superman. I don't give a fuck. All right, I'm gonna say this right now. All right, Superman is white bread. All right, I'm just gonna throw that out there. Like,
all these hot takes, let's get it.
I don't care, man. Superman is white bread, but this comic definitely
You're
proves
right.
it. Like, okay, like I'll say this, right? On any given day, right, Superman can kick Batman's ass, right?
Right.
Easy, no problem. The dude is
I mean,
basically
Yeah.
he's OP, man. He's got plot armor, all right? Like,
Yeah.
He's got fun.
the dude can basically do everything, right? But given enough time with Batman, like planning this, Superman can be defeated. And in this, he does defeat him, and he does say, "I want you to remember me as the man who beat you." And then he like fakes his death and all that stuff. But regardless, you can't also, go without mentioning that too. So very,
Dude,
very well done comic.
See,
Yeah.
like, to
well.
To tie this back into like gaming, I like this comic specifically because it reminds me of Big Boss, but that's for another time.
That's for...
He builds his own fucking army of Batman. Like what?
Yeah, literally, the mutants become the Batman, the Sons of Batman, right? Is that what it's
Yep.
called?
Yeah, the Sons of Batman.
The Sons of Batman, dude. Yeah.
Yep, they
Sons of
become the
Batman.
Sons of Batman. So it was a two-parter. So really, really well done.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can't hate on
Yes,
it.
absolutely.
Mike, tell us about your second one.
My second pick is Batman Hush, and that is by Jim Lee and Jeff Loeb. Jim Lee being the artist and Jeff Loeb being the writer.
Absolutely.
And when we come into Hush, it's more of a, it's kind of like more of a backstory, or more of like it's kind of one of the main ones where the fact that we see another counterpart to Batman as, Batman to Robin and his aspect. But in this one, we have sort of like a Batman wannabe almost. He kind of mimics every one of Batman's moves, everything that he knows about Batman. He even show it here. So we have Batman and we have the counterpart next to him.
Yep.
Now, this is a really good story, and Jim Lee is probably one of my favorite, he is like my top tier favorite Batman artist of all time.
Oh yeah.
You can't second guess me on that.
Can't
he is
argue
one
with
of
that.
he is one of my favorite Batman artists. He is my top one out of my top three. He is my top one. He is my one. And I even saw him in person, believe it or not, at Rhode Island Comic Con a couple years ago. So
wicked.
Dude,
yeah, he was a cool dude, Jim Lee. Shout out to Jim Lee, wherever he may be.
wherever that man is, wherever that beautiful man is.
We got a comment.
So this story comes into Batman facing off against Killer Croc. And Killer Croc seems to be acting a little out of sorts compared to what Killer Croc usually is. He's more of kind of delusional, more out of it a little bit, as you would say. And after finally managing to defeat Croc, he seems to be, he thinks that he's under some sort of mind control or some hypnosis, pixie dust kind of BS,
right.
something like that. And after he realizes it, he swings away, but without knowing, somebody cut his grapple line, falls into an alley, and fractures his skull. So at this point, Batman is down. And there was a gang that walked up to him, was like, oh, hey, here's Batman. We can finally see who he is. Batman's got all the security features built into the cowl. Somebody tries to peel his mask off. There's a gas tube that shoots out at you and prevents him from... He gets up, fights him off, brings him away. But not without injury. He's got a fractured skull, and at this point, he goes to his best friend at the time, Thomas Elliot, the brain surgeon,
right,
and he removes the fractured brain fragments from his brain and, fixes them up. And at this point, Batman's a little out of it. He's got to have a recovery time. But he doesn't want to stay recovering because Gotham needs Batman. Without Batman, the city goes to hell. So at this point, he just goes, he's a badass. He goes out and he finishes the job.
Don't mind me, guys. Just have a brain hemorrhage. Gonna save the town
But
real quick.
I'll still go swoop in and save the day, yeah.
Yeah, as Batman does.
Batman,
and then it
what you
cuts.
gotta do.
And then the story cuts into Poison Ivy and Catwoman. And Poison Ivy is the one behind the hypnosis, right? And all the Batman villains at this point are under Poison Ivy's kind of flowery possession, this pixie dust shit. And everybody's acting all out of sorts. It's because of Hush. Hush is orchestrating everything that Poison Ivy is kind of going for here. There's also a story part of it where Catwoman swipes in and steals money from a child who was looking for, I can't remember that one part, but Catwoman steals the money, Batman goes after Catwoman, but then Catwoman realizes she's under Poison Ivy's control. She goes to Poison Ivy, front her, and notices that Hush is the one who's really orchestrating everything. And Hush kind of seems to be a split difference between Batman and him. They're kind of the same person. Not really, but Hush just has a lot of info on Batman to where he could defeat him if he wanted to. Like,
Right.
you know, he had the material to cut his grapple gun. Like, only Batman's supposed to know what can cut his grapple rope, and it's, you know, his grapple gun is industrial, so it shouldn't even be able to be really broken with the right tools unless you know exactly what kind of metal cuts his grapple gun.
Absolutely. And
So-
I believe there's only been like a handful of people who are like on par with like the skill, the brains, and like the
Right.
combat prowess.
Yeah,
with that.
only a very
That's why
handful.
it's
Yeah.
scary.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Yes.
why this is a scary villain and one of the most
Hush, yes.
one of the most iconic villains in the Batman franchise. I myself,
He is one, yep.
yeah, I myself am not like an avid comic fan, but even I know who Hush is. Like,
Yeah, that's how popular it is.
Yeah, Hush is just one of those top ones that everybody knows about.
Right, absolutely. And Mike, you had a third pick, but we're gonna save that.
Yeah,
because
we are going
there
to
is
save
a
that
reason.
one. Yep. So before we get into my picks, I'm just gonna read out here what After Dark Music had said. Superman is just a generic superhero. He's not deep. He has no major flaws, and his only weakness is a rare crystal that is ridiculously hard to obtain. Batman is a man against the world. He's way more relatable, and that's why I feel he's a better hero, if not the best DC hero. And I can't
Shots
disagree
fired.
with that. That's pretty much why. You know.
Shots fired.
Yeah,
shots
no, I mean,
fired.
fuck,
left
shots
and
fired.
right.
And I support it. I back up those shots fired. You know, I second that. So thank
Hey,
you, Tom,
man.
for that. You know, that insight. You know, and
Also
we can
done.
go into
Well
detail.
said. Well said.
Also, Mary commented, "I like it when Batman went against Thanos with Iron Man."
Oh yeah, I must have missed that comic.
Yeah, when did that one come out?
that must have came out in 2079.
Oh yeah. I
I'm sure
think he might
eventually
be on
they
to
do a
something. I think
crossover.
he
I
might
wouldn't
be on-
put it past them.
Oh, dude, year 69. That's it.
All right. So before we get into Mike's third pick, we're gonna go into mine because we're just his third pick is also my top pick, so we're just gonna save that for later. So for my top three, I had for my third, my number three is gonna be The Court of Owls, written by Scott Schneider, and the artist is Greg Capullo. So just a little backstory on this on The Court of Owls. It was published as part of the New 52. It was the reboot following the Flashpoint Paradox, which by the way was a great comic. Like
Yeah.
That's
that
agreed.
one was really good, and
Agreed.
also great animated film too.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, so good. So and this right, it was the debut of both Schneider and Capullo taking over the mantle of the whole Batman series. You know, for the reboot for the New 52. You know, so they had big shoes to fill. You know, and might I say they fucking killed it. They fucking
Yeah.
killed it, right? So in this,
Agreed.
I'll just give like a very quick, brief synopsis of it, right? So it starts off with Bruce Wayne. He unveils a new plan for Gotham to be better and more of a city, in the near future, like that, like Bruce Wayne does, So so we have that, right? Basically an enhanced Gotham, and then we cut to Harvey Bullock. He discovers a murder victim. It's pinned against the wall, numerous knives bearing an owl insignia. So already we have, a new thing going on here. And oh yeah. So and then they do some more searching, they find a hidden message, and it's in flames too, right? Bruce Wayne will die tomorrow. Right? So and then so Batman comes onto the scene, and they do an autopsy, and then they find Dick Grayson's DNA under the victim's fingernails. When you're like, oh shit, what? So now they do an autopsy. Commissioner Gordon is there, obviously, and then they reveal a possible connection to the Court of Owls, an urban legend taken from a nursery rhyme. So now now we get a little bit more backstory into it. The Court of Owls was going to the nursery rhyme. The Court of Owls was just a thing to tell children to get them to behave. So that's what it started off as. Turns out it's a secret organization spanning centuries and centuries of all of Gotham, right? And that's what I really like about this comic, right? Is that we get new villains, right? And when you think of Batman in Gotham City, you think, oh, well, Batman knows everything that there is to be about, Gotham City. He grew up there. He was raised there. Like he knows Gotham inside and out. And then this story takes it and it's like, well, what if he doesn't? What if Bruce Wayne, Batman, doesn't know everything that there is to know about Gotham City. Now we have a new villain, right? No, Batman has never, really heard about them. I mean, like he has, but it's only in the form of a nursery rhyme, right? And then,
Which, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but Thomas Wayne used to tell Bruce that story when he was young.
yep,
Right.
yep. So now we have, so cutting back to the whole message of Bruce Wayne will die tomorrow. They eventually he goes to meet with a politician, and he does get attacked by one of the henchmen of the Court of Owls. They send out this assassin called the Talons, and his main mission is to annihilate Bruce Wayne. So as they fall from the skyscraper, right, he says, "I love killing Waynes," and now you're like, hold on, rewind that. Did you just say I love killing Waynes? And it's pretty basic knowledge, right, that Joe Chill is the one who killed Bruce Wayne's parents.
But
Yep.
is it?
But now, now that raises the question as to maybe there's more, that we don't even know about, because we grew up watching, the Batman shows. We grew up watching Gotham City, like we even think that we may know Gotham as well as, Bruce Wayne does. But no, this entire story now brings an entire whole new realm of like possibilities. Pretty much.
Yeah, flip the table, damn it.
So it was superbly well done, and it's one of my favorite newer comics, so well done, Scott Schneider, for writing this, so it's a breath of fresh air to, the story, the illustrious story of, of Batman.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So, really,
Agreed.
really well done. Can't lie. I love it. It's so nice. But anyway, so moving on to the second one, right? We have A Death in the Family, written by. Oh yeah, this one kind of hurts a little bit.
Oh God.
So it was written by Jim Starlin, and the artist was Jim Aparo. So it was a 4-part storyline published in 1988. It was one of the most iconic stories in more modern times. When it was actually published, it was very back and forth as to whether or not it was a really good comic. People had very, they had different opinions on it. It took a while before it was widely accepted as one of the more important, iconic moments in Batman. I'll say it's one of the most important deaths, if not the most important death in the whole Batman comic storylines. Because it's always hard to see, like a superhero suffer, and more so watch them die.
Right.
So we have Jason Todd as the second Robin. He was a street orphan. Mother died of an overdose. He's hard to handle. He's rash. He's immature. He's fueled by rage. He's reckless. He's just a very angry kid.
Very angsty. He would probably listen to NPR.
Probably. So he grew kind of unpopular among the fans because they were comparing him too much to Dick Grayson, right? The first Robin, right? So
which is unfair.
Yeah, it really is. It really is.
Unfair. You have Golden Boy up here just being like perfect hair, perfect physique.
Differences between them is just like.
Yep. So to kind of counter this and see where they would go with the next, with Jason Todd and the whole, and moving on from there, is that they made a poll, right? You could call a 1-900 number, and you could vote if either Robin lives or it dies. And it ran from September 15th of 1988 through September 16th of 1988. So you had around like 36 hours of this poll being open, and you can go vote. Not much time, but within that time, they got a shit ton of votes, right? So I have the votes here, and so for the votes to kill Jason was 5,343 votes. And the votes to save Jason was 5,271 votes. So it was kind of close. There was a 72 vote difference there.
Yeah,
but ultimately they decided to kill Jason because.
Kind of fucked if you think about it. It's like, should this kid live or should we just?
I know that was kind of savage of DC.
Live or should die. Like,
that was pretty savage of DC to do that.
How could you make us make a decision like that? Like that is a huge impact on the Batman community and the whole history of his story.
Yeah,
They
it
did a
was
big impact.
pretty savage of DC. So very quick synopsis, right? It's basically Jason Todd. He's trying to find his real mother. So it turns out his mother that he thought died, of an overdose. It turns out to be his stepmother, right? So now he's on the look for his real mother. He goes to his old town where he grew up. He meets an old friend of his mom's or his stepmom's, and then she has a box of like memorabilia for him. So he takes it, he looks through it, and then he notices like some papers and whatnot. So it turns out he finds out the truth. That his mom was actually his stepmom. So his real mom is out there somewhere, maybe alive. So he goes on a huge chase to find her, and then Batman is dealing with Joker because now Joker is like in was it Israel or something like that, because now he has possession of a nuclear weapon that he's trying to sell to terrorists.
Oh, geez.
Yeah,
as Joker does.
Joker right there.
As Joker
Classic
does.
Joker right there.
As Joker does, right? He's just out there for shits and giggles. Actually, he became a politician there.
Oh my god.
People forget about this guy. He actually became a politician there. Yeah. In Israel or something like that. Like he became
for Joker.
Yep. So it turns out, right, Jason Todd finds 3 names, right, of women that could possibly be his mother, and they're all somewhere in the Middle East and Africa, right where Joker's also there to do negotiations, on selling the weapons and all that. And so Batman tracks down like where Joker is. So now both of them are in, they meet up in Israel, or in Lebanon. Batman goes to Lebanon, and then Robin goes to Israel. So Joker ends up finding Jason Todd's real mom. So Batman and Robin, they meet, and then they're like, well, what are you doing here? Blah blah blah. So they catch up, and then they figure out what they're trying to do. So they go looking for Jason's mom. The first 2 was a dud. Dead end, whatever. So Joker is already in negotiations with Jason's real mother. So now, and then they're planning this whole thing to, he's trying to like blackmail her for like medical supplies and like this and that,
Yikes.
So yeah, so fast forward. So Jason finds his real mom, and and then she turns out to be low key a piece of shit, and then she like turns him over to the Joker, and then we have the iconic drawings of Joker beating up Robin with the crowbar. Like it was brutal. Like he and then Batman was off chasing other people, right? So he told them to stay in a location, and then Robin, Jason Todd, being the little prick that he is, decides, nah, like I have to go save my mother, which is understandable.
I'm going.
Right? So he goes, and then he ends up being caught by Joker with the help of his mom. So now he beats him to almost to death with the crowbar, and then he double crosses the mom, and then he plants a bomb. Leaving both the mom and Robin there. So, and now this is why I like this entire storyline, and why the death of Jason Todd is one of the more important deaths in Batman. So, leading up to it, Robin does everything he can to save his mom. Despite being betrayed by her, he he frees her from the ropes that she's tied from, and then when she goes to try and open the door and save both of them, it's locked. So now they're doomed, right? But even during the explosion, Jason tried to shield as much as he could of the explosion to save his mom. Ultimately, they both end up dying. Batman goes back, to the warehouse where they were. It's already too late. He finds Jason's mother, and then Jason's mother is explaining, but he was a good boy. He was raised well. Like he still tried to save me even though I betrayed him. And all that stuff. So and then we have one of the even more iconic illustrations of Batman holding Robin, just a lifeless Robin. He's already turning cold. He is gone, right?
Yep.
So why is this iconic? Right. So it's been known that Jason Todd is Batman's greatest failure.
Yep.
Not in terms of how Jason was, he praised the kid, despite his challenges, right? He still was gifted in everything that he did. He praised him for all the training sessions that they had. You know, like he was a very huge fan of Jason Todd, but his failure was that not listening to his instincts, not realizing that Jason is not ready to take the mantle of Robin. You know, like he's still mourning you know, the
Still
death
has
of his
much more.
parents. Yes, you know, like he's not mentally stable, right? But Batman just ignored all of those signs and said, "It doesn't matter. We're gonna be a great team. He'll get over
Yeah,
it."
just
You know, like
threw
the
him into
kid
it.
is just kind of like he just kind of threw him into it, right? So with this, you know, like Batman finds out that Joker's the one responsible, and here's, you know, like it's well known that Batman has a code, right, and he won't ever break it, right, and that's not to kill. But in this, he comes like this close to breaking it, like, and that's really really rare, you know, because this whole thing is not killing people, you know, like justice will be served, right?
Yes.
So the fact that, you know, he got pushed to that edge, right, and he was this close to breaking his moral code says a lot about how much of a toll that death took upon him, you know.
Right.
And in the final moments, right, he Jason proved why he was Robin, why he took that mantle despite his challenges, like Tim said. You know, he proved in those final key moments why he was Robin. You know, he tries to save his mother. He ends up forgiving her. You know, like despite everything. You know,
Right.
like I
Spider
said, it's in those, yeah, basically. So in those key moments is where, you know, Jason Todd, you know, shines the brightest, right? So that's why, you know, everything that led up to it and then everything after it. That's why I think it's one of the more important deaths in, you know, in Batman history and in
Agreed.
comics.
It's also one of the most saddest and human moments of Batman.
Yep.
You know, you would often think
Agreed.
that Batman
Yep.
is like
Yep.
a totally separate entity, but
Yep.
you see that inner father figure that he has for, like,
Yeah.
you know, all the Robins, and you know, that's one of those moments where it highlights how much he cares about, like, his proteges.
Oh yeah, you know, like and he even knows it. Like Batman needs a partner. Like he does get lonely, you know.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
Jason,
well, even Batman gets lonely. Let's be honest.
yeah, so it was good for him. But you know, it's in those crucial moments is where, you know, Jason Todd knew who he was. You know, he knew he was gonna die, but you know, he went out strong.
Yeah, he went out in a bang, and I mean literally.
Literally, he did. I know. I had here in my notes is where Jason Todd burns bright. I was like, I probably shouldn't say that.
Thank him. Thank him.
Jason burns bright.
Yep. All right, and the
On
last
that,
one.
a Robin with a side of crisp, please.
Oh my God,
Like an extra
I
crispy
know.
bird.
Red Robin, yum.
Yum.
Not sponsored.
No. No sponsor.
But
All right, then
anyway,
take it away.
all right, and the last one. So Mike and I had this one on our list, so we decided to just save it for last. So Mike, I'll let you go first.
Okay, well, my number one pick is The Killing Joke.
Absolutely.
And Alan Moore, and we have Brian Boland, and is the arts and colors, or like the illustrator. And in this story, we kind of go back and we look into Joker and Batman. It's sort of like an origin story, but with Joker mostly. And in this story, we see one of the more newer villains added to the Batman lore. We see the original Red Hood, believe it or not, before, you know. I won't spoil anything. No spoilers here.
Oh no, I'm gonna
We see
spoil
the-
it later.
Oh, no, I mean, yeah, we're gonna spoil it later.
Well, then
Yeah.
I'll let
It's
you
important.
do the.
All right.
I'll let you do the spoiling. We see the original Red Hood, and if you are a Batman fan and you know who the Red Hood is now, then I'll leave that to you two. So in this background, we see kind of a more darker, edgier Joker, not opposed to the Dark Knight Returns. This is a more, I think this hits Joker more mentally than physically, but like Joker is seen more crazy, and he literally even said that he's like, "I went crazy" was one of his main quotes as he's beating the hell out of Batman in the scene, and literally we see a hopeless Joker, or whatever they decide, what Joe Chill, whatever his name is. There's so many different names for Joker. They have the unknown category, and then we have Joe Chill, and then like You know, and he faces off against Batman in the original Red Hood suit, but in this point, he's like, "Oh no, I'm just like a bag carrier. I'm a doer. I don't know what the hell's going on here. They just told me to do something," and he stumbles, slips, falls into the vat of acid, and becomes the Joker.
Right.
And Batman doesn't give a shit what he's doing. He's like, "Oh, you're just as bad as any criminal scum I face every day." There's no sympathy for him, and then at that point, there he goes in the vat of acid. He comes back out, rips the helmet off, and that's when you see that famous laugh scene with his hands on his head. You know, the really
the psychotic illustration.
Yep.
One that's everybody's MySpace background. No, I'm just kidding.
No, you're not wrong.
I try to change my background now.
Oh, excuse me, hold on, let me just change my background real quick. Good, done, got it. And we also, and this is a more iconic Batman story because we see the story of how Barbara Gordon is paralyzed. And Barbara Gordon, from that moment on, if you played the Arkham games, you know Barbara Gordon in the games, she's known as Oracle. And she is kind of Batman's computer tech savvy, like, oh, here's what's happening, you know, you can go find Two-Face here, like, she's kind of the computer nerd, as you'd put it, you know, she's Batman's Achilles heel when it comes to, like, information, where he's going, what he's doing, and the scene starts with Joker knocking on Barbara Gordon's door.
Just a quick thing, Disney Occult Cutie 98 is now following, so thank you for that.
Thank you.
We see Joker knock on Barbara Gordon's door, and she doesn't know who the hell it is. Thinks it's her dad, Commissioner Gordon, and she opens the door, and all of a sudden, boom, he gets shot by the Joker in the iconic. We see the flannel Hawaiian shirt and the shorts with the straw hat with the camera, the famous Canon camera, which is right here. You can see the camera.
Yep. And we got Twisted _ T34 is now following. Thank you so much for that.
Hell yeah, Galaxy. Thank you so much, dude. But,
and at this point,
before you continue, let's just talk about that real quick. That suit, that costume is so iconic because not only is it in the comics, it's also made crossovers into the Mortal Kombat universe. Like that's one of the costumes.
Right, you're right. Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, just wanted to throw that in there as well. Continue.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right. That's a good point there. So this is the point where Barbara Gordon's paralyzed Batman. He's like, oh damn, like I really should have been there more, but like, cause you know Batman being Batman, he's kind of like, oh yeah, well you're not strong enough to be in the game, then don't be in it at all. Like, you know, we're kind of taking a cross into like, and literally we see a helpless Barbara Gordon, and you know, and Joker taking the pictures of her that are famously known, like, you know, and they're showing these images, and it's kind of like that creepy aspect where it's like, oh, Joker's like going off the deep end, like that's it. This is a really like mentally like scarring story to where it's like we're seeing someone get shot and paralyzed, completely becoming a different person. We see Batgirl going to Oracle, and you know, everybody loves Batgirl. Batgirl makes an appearance in a lot of Batman stories, and everybody. I mean, I love Batman. Batgirl's cool. We can all agree Batgirl's a really good second, you know, behind Batman. Well, not you know what I mean.
Yeah,
kind of like a second behind Robin, or I don't know if you put Batgirl then Robin or Robin then Batgirl.
There's a reason why she's not a Robin.
Yeah.
There's a reason.
She's not. She's not.
Listen, man, don't put her ahead just because she's a girl. All right.
No, but there is a reason why she's not a Robin.
All right, but anyway, just to kind of go into a little bit more detail on this, right? So the reason why I had it as my #1 pick, right, it was because it's the chilling tale between, you know, one of the biggest rivalries known to comics. You know, Alan Moore just kills it, and he does what he does best, right? It's just writing dark tragedy with an ending that's open to interpretation, right? So quick synopsis, like Mike was saying, you know, like we have Batman. I'm just gonna add a little bit more detail. So Batman's in Arkham Asylum. You know, he walks down, then he goes past like some really iconic villains, you know, and then he ends up going to Joker's cell. and then and then that's where you find the Joker playing cards, and turns out like, oh no, like it's an imposter, it's not, he removes the face paint, like it's someone else other than Joker. So now Joker is out. He ends up buying a circus, like, and then because it's all part of his plan for later on, right? So he buys a rundown circus, you know and then during
Right.
this comic, is like Mike said, we have Joker's backstory, and even though it is his backstory, it's not entirely his backstory. It is, like his Joker's real identity is always a mystery, and it still
Right.
continues to be a mystery, and that's what I really like about Joker, is that he even said it himself at one point in the comic. Like if he were to have a past, he'd rather it be multiple choice, and
That's
that's
in the
yeah.
iconic monologue.
Yes,
That's
and
the
I'll
iconic
I'll get
monologue.
I'll get to that.
Oh
So
yeah, dude.
so we cut back. Like we have panels of the Joker, like as a young lad. He's trying to be a comedian. Like, and he ends up getting mixed with the wrong people. And now they're trying to do like a heist and all that stuff. He dons the red hood attire. Because the goons told him to. And all that stuff. And he ends up facing Batman, like Mike said, and all that stuff. Falls into the vat of acid. But like, here's the big picture that is painted, right? Is that he had a bad day, and
Right.
it's gonna lead into Joker's infamous monologue, one of his best, and it's just really really well done. It's so good. The Joker, like I said, Joker's identity has always been a mystery, and I love it to be continued as a mystery. I don't ever at one point want to know in my life what Joker's real identity is. Because I think it'll just kill the
Agreed.
character for me. So keeping with Joker's identity being a mystery, this is the most widely known accepted origin story of the Joker,
Hmm.
right? So like you said, so Joker goes to Barbara. She's with her father. They're having some family time, and then like Mike said, the infamous panel of Joker, dark brooding eyes, Hawaiian shirt, camera, and all that stuff. And then he shoots Barbara. She falls on the coffee table. Is paralyzed. And then he ends up like strips her down, takes pictures of her, and this is all for Gordon later and what he has planned for him, right? So now going back to he kidnaps Gordon. Batman is trying to like figure out his whereabouts. He goes to other goons, and he's trying really hard to find out where to find him. And during this, Joker is torturing Jim, and he tells him about his whole take on memories and all that stuff. And I have it right here because it's really well done. So just bear with me a little bit. So he's talking to Jim. He's on this ride, and then he has all the photos that Joker took of Barbara. Paralyzed, bloody, just like it's just disturbing pictures. Even for like a father to see, right, of their paralyzed daughter. Stripped down, all in the hands of this menace, right? So he's telling him, right, memories so treacherous. One moment you're lost in a carnival of delights, with poignant childhood aromas, the flashing neon of puberty, all that sentimental candy floss. The next, it leads you somewhere you don't want to go. Somewhere dark and cold, filled with the damp, ambiguous shapes of things you hope were forgotten. Memories can be vile, repulsive little brutes like children, I suppose. But can we live without them? Memories are what our reason is based upon. If we can't face them, we deny reason itself. Although, why not? We aren't contractually tied down to rationality. There is no sanity clause. So when you find yourself locked onto an unpleasant train of thought, heading for the places in your past where the screaming is unbearable, remember, there's always madness. Madness is the emergency exit. You can just step outside and close the door on all those dreadful things that happened. You can lock them away forever. Right? So why this is iconic and why this is one of Joker's best monologue is because he's low key talking about his past. He had
Hmm.
a really bad day. He had a wife, he had a family, you know, and he ends up losing both of them. Now he has nothing, right?
Hmm.
And he's still mixed in with those goons. He still has the heist to go through, and then he dons the red hood attire and all that. So and then he ends up facing Batman. He ends up like falling into the vat of acid, and he, yep, and then he goes insane and he turns into the Joker. Why? Because it was all one bad day, and he even explains it to Batman during the battle towards the end, and he says, I proved my point. I've demonstrated that there's no difference between me and everyone else. All it takes is one bad day to reduce the sanest man alive to lunacy. That's how far the world is from where I am. Just one bad day.
That's scary to think
Yeah,
about.
that's the
That's
beauty.
a very deep quote too.
Yep, that's
But,
the
like,
One of the
beauty
more
of it.
deeper
Here's the
Joker
thing
quotes.
that I love about this comic, because he did all that to Gordon, right? Spoilers,
Yeah.
by the way, spoilers. And Gordon
Yeah.
still came out intact.
Yeah,
Like, it shocked
Yes.
him, but Gordon's like mental prowess and just like how headstrong he is, he didn't get that far. Because I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, he also strips Gordon down and he forces him to go through the carnival
Yeah.
ride, right?
Yep.
Yes, you are correct. Yep.
Yeah. So like he's trying to break this man, and he comes out like stronger, I'd say.
Yep.
Because he's like,
yeah, and he knows that like it's to prove Joker wrong, like but low key, like Joker is right because all it takes is one bad day, and why is he right? Look at Bruce Wayne. He had one bad day, and now look at him.
And that is
that's another thing that he says, right? Like he says, like you run around in a bat suit and
Yeah,
spandex.
yeah,
You don't do
I
that
have
for no
it.
reason.
Yeah, I have it right here. It says you had a bad day once. Am I right? I know I am. I can tell. You had a bad day and everything changed. Why else would you dress up as a flying rat? You had a bad day and it drove you as crazy as everybody else. Only you won't admit it. And he's right. He's right.
Absolutely. That's why Joker is the most iconic Batman villain, dude. Like,
yeah.
That's
why.
He's up there in the top 10. He's number 1.
And that's why it is my number 1 pick, just behind the philosophy of it, and the writing, the literature behind it. So Alan Moore just fucking killed it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Just destroyed it. Really good story. It's one of my favorites. I love it.
Then, like, it's iconic when you have to get the OG animated cast, like, voice actors to voice the...
Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill.
Yeah,
oh.
dude,
Shout out to Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill. I will meet Mark Hamill one day. That is a goal of mine. I want to meet Mark Hamill. I met Kevin Conroy. Kevin Conroy's already been checked off my list.
Hell yeah, dude. But there's a reason. There's a reason why you had to hire the iconic voices of these individuals for the movie. Like, dude, like, it's so good. It's so
But Mark Hamill being the most iconic Joker out there, like, everybody knows Mark Hamill's Joker voice. His voice is so iconic.
So I'm just going to say something real quick about that, and then we'll get into Tim's picks, right, for his comics. So the whole monologue, right, in the animated film, right, it was really well done by Mark Hamill. I have no complaints. But Troy Baker, he did the monologue in a Comic-Con, I believe it was a Comic-Con in New York City. And this was before the film was released. So during
alongside with John DiMaggio, which is another Joker.
John DiMaggio, he did Under the Red Hood's Joker.
So along that, right? So before the film even came out, he was asked to do the monologue from The Killing Joke, and he did. And I'm not gonna lie, I prefer that one. I prefer Troy Baker's monologue overK Hamill's style.
I'll do that hot take monologue with you. I'll take that stance with you, dude.
That's the only one.
Troy Baker's a good Joker.
But
don't get me wrong either. Like, I'm a simp for Troy Baker, so like that man's beautiful, dude.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong though.
But so that's all I'm gonna say. So Tim, we'll take it over to you.
Get away, Tim.
My list is rather short, but like my reason, anyways, because as I mentioned before, I'm more of the animated fan. Like comics are kind of a new thing for me, but like I went more of the iconic moments within a story route. So kicking off my list, it's not necessarily a Batman comic; it's more of a Robin comic, but it's Robin Rises Alpha. And the reason why I love this is because like you enter in with literally the Bat family literally going to the equivalent of hell, and Batman has like this extra sick suit that's kind of like an homage to the Batman Beyond suit and the Batman Return of Batman suit, because it's like all ironclad, like special type of metal to protect him from Apocalypse, which is like the hell realm, because Damian Wayne, which is like in this timeline, is Bruce Wayne's son with Talia al Ghul, like literally just like gets yoinked. He gets killed and he gets yoinked and he gets put into this sarcophagus. And the whole Bat family, like we're talking Tim Drake, Batgirl, or no, the other Robin, and then Nightwing. They all come together and they're like, no, we're saving this little shit. Yeah, he's a little shit, but we're saving him. Like, fuck it. Like, he's your kid, so, and we're technically kind of your kids too, so that he's in some way our little brother. So We have to. And then one of the most iconic scenes is like the bat cow and the bat dog dude. Like
Yeah.
Alfred's like shooing them away because Alfred suits up now and he's got like a shit ton of guns because he's worried about the Bat family not coming back. It's been too long. It's been like a minute, maybe 2 minutes over the time, and
Alfred,
Alfred's
true
ready.
MVP.
Yo, Alfred's ready, dude. He's strapped. He goes into the
Batman, Alfred.
Dude, he's literally about to go into the portal. Have you guys read the Ultra Mega? Highly recommended. No,
That's also a good one.
I haven't.
I've never read that one either.
Dude, I'll keep that on my radar now. But then, all right, so we see Bruce Wayne, a desperate Bruce Wayne, like one of the most vulnerable sides of Bruce Wayne. Is like legit dad vibes. He goes in to hell to save his son, and he's literally takes the sarcophagus, not even like just the body out, he takes the whole thing out, and then right as soon as like Alfred's about to step in, the Bat family comes in with Cyborg, literally just like all of them all on the floor, and Batman's literally like, dude, like Batman literally can't take him out, and he takes off the suit's gloves, and he's just like, no, this is my son, and he like rips out a piece of a Chaos Crystal. And I was researching it, but like you guys are the more like Batman fans. Can somebody explain what the Chaos Crystal is to me? Like, that was one thing in my notes. I was like, this came from Apocalypse, but like it's not from Apocalypse, and it was embedded into Bruce Wayne, and then to bring him back to life, he takes out something that's keeping him alive. And
that whole thing is kind of like. There's a lot to take away from that. Like even I myself, like I'm like, bro.
Yeah, I'm like, what? It's not of that.
They're just comic hacks, you know. Like I like to think of it as just little comic hacks, you know, like where they don't have a good enough explanation, so they just add.
So
like here's the thing.
Here's the thing that explains everything.
Yeah, here's the thing that just magically, like coincidentally, just explains everything, and everything's good again.
Yeah,
I hand it to you on a silver platter.
Dude, he literally takes off something that's keeping him alive and puts it into his son's body to bring him back to life.
Yeah, like it makes sense, but it doesn't make sense. But regardless, I mean, it's still good.
Yeah, and then so he comes back to life, and he's like having a heart-to-heart conversation with him. But then they're like, guys, we have to like go, and this demon comes out, and then all of a sudden, this demon's like beating the shit out of everybody. And you see Robin just pick up a car, like Damian, just pick up a car and just smacks him with it. And you're like, oh, fuck. Like, everybody's shocked. C9, thank you very much. Everybody's just shocked at this point. Like, everybody turns around, and he's just like, you've got Damian Wayne with new superpowers. Like, superpowers.
Yep.
And he literally, like, beats the shit out of this demon, but the demon's too strong for Damian, because after all, Damian's still a kid. So, Batman gets into the Batwing and just rams him and ghost rides him back into the portal. And right at the split second where Cyborg's like, all right, my systems can close this portal, right last second, closes the portal. And Damian Wayne, all is good again. And they have like a touching moment of like father-son. And he's just like, oh, I thought you cared about my mother more. And he was just like, no, it's not about her. It's always been about you. It's always been about you. And I was just like, damn.
Heartfelt.
Damn, Bruce. Like he literally takes off his mask and has like a
heart-to-heart
conversation. It's not Batman anymore.
Yeah, see,
Bruce Wayne and Batman being
Bruce Wayne and Damian Wayne.
Yeah, see, and that's really rare, you know, for Batman, for Bruce Wayne, even, you know, because Batman just kind of just doesn't show any emotion. So the fact that he shows any emotion at all is just already like, bro.
Dude, like
literally.
Oh, if I haven't mentioned before, this was written by Peter Tomasi, and I'm trying to like go into the artist. Like, there's so many artists for this one comic, so it's like, oh, all right, like, shout out to all of you.
Yeah, there's so many of them. Like,
but well done,
dude.
Well done.
Yeah, well done to the whole team. And then my second pick, which is like another iconic Alfred moment, but kind of not, like I guess iconic. So we get City of Bane, which takes place, I believe, during the Flashpoint series as well. And this was written by Tom King, which, like, if you guys haven't checked out City of Bane, like, do it. Just fucking do it. Because this was a mindfuck for me to read through.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, jeez.
so
Batman
kicking
learns
things
it the hard
off,
way.
dude. Like, oh my god, kicking things off. Like the brief synopsis is like the Flashpoint happens and timelines basically converge with each other. Like different timelines are just like interacting,
Mixed
and that shit
together.
could
Yeah.
happen. So essentially, you have Batman and Batman from which Earth is it? Earth 2, right?
I think
Or
so.
is this Earth? Yeah, and Batman and Batman meet face to face. Only this Batman isn't Bruce Wayne. This is Thomas Wayne, which is Batman's
Yeah.
dad.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's
like
right.
in that universe, Batman, Bruce Wayne dies.
Yep.
And his father becomes the Batman.
The Batman.
Yeah, and his
And
mother.
his mother becomes the Joker.
Yep. Uh-huh.
Spoilers.
Spoilers left and right. So he's telling Bruce like, "Oh, like let me be Batman. Like you don't know how grueling this work can get." And Thomas Wayne is a no nonsense kind of guy because unlike Bruce Wayne's code, Thomas doesn't have a code.
Yeah, he
No,
does
what
not
code
give
does Thomas
a
Wayne follow?
fuck, dude. He
So-
straight up
He
kills.
got
He
dual
murks
pistols.
people.
Boom, boom, boom.
Dude, he literally
Left and
murders
right.
people. So
Not even a care in the world.
when Batman ultimately says, "No, I'm going to be Batman," Thomas Wayne just turns on him like immediately and
Oh,
joins
yeah.
Bane and leads Bane into assaulting Gotham,
Yep.
essentially. And Bane takes over. Bane literally just takes over everything, and then now it's up to Damian, because Damian's in this story this time around again, and he's trying to save the day. But then he's like, "Oh, I'm your grandfather." He's like, "No, you're not. You're not even like real in my timeline. So like, fuck you, old man." And then he kidnaps Damian, and then the most unthinkable thing happens. Spoilers right now, everybody. Bane literally has Alfred in a chair, and he forces Damian to watch him snap his neck. And he kills, like, Alfred Penny.
Yeah, no, bro.
Damn.
Out of everyone, Alfred.
Everybody.
Damn.
And it sends. This is I would argue it's up there. What do you think, Vic and Mike? Is that death more iconic than Jason's death?
That's a toughie. That's a toughie, right? Because, we have Alfred, right? He is the butler of Bruce. He
And the
grew
father.
up. Yeah, and he grew
He's a
up.
father figure to
Yeah,
Bruce Wayne.
he is the closest thing that Bruce will ever get to a father figure. So yeah, I mean, you know what? Maybe I think maybe Alfred has a slight edge. Or it's hard, right? Because Jason
to play
was
is a tough
just a kid, right?
Yeah.
And he
Just
ignored all the
another
signs
Robin.
because he knew that he could have saved him had he followed his instincts, like I said during my list, right? So I think those two are really, really, really close.
Chat, what do you think? Do you think which death is more impactful?
Bro, justice to Alfred, bro. He does not
Dude,
deserve that.
Alfred did not deserve death in this one.
Oh,
Absolutely not.
we get also part of this story. We get the iconic moment, or one of the many iconic moments, where Bane happens to break Batman's back.
That is the most
Like-
iconic thing. Yeah.
Like, multiple back breaks.
Dude, like
Yeah.
across
The Nightfall
multiple
quest.
stories, as once Bruce Wayne and Bane cross paths,
Your back is broken. You're crushed.
literally, that Batman's getting his back broken if he's going to fight against Bane.
How many times can Batman get his back broken by Bane? Let's count.
One of the very few L's
two.
that he took, bro. Like that shit
No.
sucked.
How many broken backs is he gonna have to endure to have him save the day? Like,
Dude, but like, I think we get so many iconic moments in this saga as well. Like, not only with Alfred's death, but you also get like the ending of the saga, which is like a bittersweet moment because you get Batman when it's all said and done. Batman and Selina finally like just like, "Hey, you my boo for lifey," and like,
Till Wonder Woman comes through.
yikes.
wait a second.
But yeah, so like Batman also confesses his love for Catwoman.
Selena Kyle.
They finally decide to tie the knot But then Selena's like, bro, I don't need a piece of paper or a legal document to tell like anybody that we're married. So they're like, all right, I guess we're married without the documentation. And they kind of have like a happily ever after until like, Victor said to Wonder Woman, just like, hey there, you're like strong woman.
Oh,
No.
Yeah. But yeah, that I would say like this series is just full of like just iconic moments all across. You have like the iconic moment where Batman and Bruce and Thomas meet face to face, and like in any other circumstances, that would be Bruce's like dream.
Oh yeah.
And he sees that side of Thomas Wayne and seeing how far he's gone, and he's just like, nah, I don't fuck with you. No, thank you. And then you get Alfred's death. You get the iconic moment of Batman's back breaking again.
Yeah.
And then you get the iconic moment of like the Batmacat. Like
that's always a good time.
Dude, it's literally so like chef's kiss. Dude.
Yeah, for real, yeah.
As Victor puts it, chef's kiss.
Yes, chef's kiss.
And then my number 1 pick ties into Victor's number 2 pick, Death in the Family. So like, I don't know how much you guys are into Batman, but like my number 1 pick is Under the Red Hood, the 2011 comic, which is inspired by the 2010 animated film. And
yes.
Under the Red Hood. Vic.
Oh yeah, dude.
It's a great story. I love Under the Red Hood. It's one of my favorite animated movies out there.
Oh my god, I love it so much.
It's
because
so
Neil
good.
Patrick Harris is Nightwing, and you got Jensen Ackles from Supernatural as
yes,
Jason as the Red Hood.
I love Supernatural. One of my favorite shows.
All right, so
Jensen Ackles did an incredible job.
Yeah, dude, absolutely. So part of the retelling of Under the Red Hood, you get to see more in-depth, because they're taking their time with it. They're treating it like an actual comic series, so they're taking their time, fleshing out a lot of the plot holes that movie had.
Yeah.
And then, it's also filled with one of my most favorite twists that's also a mindfuck, and it haunts Bruce Wayne. As Vic put it so eloquently, Jason was Bruce's, like, one of Bruce's many, not many fails, but like,
one of his greatest failures.
One of his greatest
It's
fails.
one of his greatest failures.
So you got this new villain, seemingly villain anyways, that comes to the town, and he's murking slumlords and crime, like mob bosses, like just literally the most ruthless killings ever.
Yeah.
It's just like, he's on a tear.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, oh, who is he? And then he comes face to face with it, and he's just like, oh, I'm the Red Hood. That old guy, that other Red Hood, that's not me. And then they're like, oh shit. And then I think this also leads to, I don't know if it's different, but this also leads to Jason murking Black Mask.
Yep.
Just literally just
Yep.
oh,
right.
I'm not that Red Hood. And he just like, boom, 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 just like literally murks everybody in the room.
We have a more aggressive, more fuck this shit kind of guy, like he was already reckless enough as a kid. Now the fact that he's an adult now, like he knows, morals and all this stuff, he chooses to ignore them, just to throw them out the window. Because this is what is pretty cool about Red Hood and then versus Batman, right? Mm-hmm. Batman rules under fear, right? He tries to control them with fear. Red Hood just tries to control them through violence, because fear is not going to do it enough. Letting them go, showing mercy is not going to be enough. So he takes it upon himself to be like, I'm going to run this. Gotham needs a firmer grasp on all of these, crimes, and I'm the guy to do it, and I'm going to do it my way. It may not be the right way,
there's
but
an
it's
iconic line, or there's an iconic line where he says, I'm going to be you.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be better than you, because I'm actually gonna put a stop to this cycle.
Yep.
And spoiler, I chose chapter 7, which is the climax of the whole series, where you find out who this individual really is. But if you guys haven't guessed it by now, like we've been harping on about Jason Todd and Red Hood, and it culminates in them fighting on a rooftop. Batman, at this point, he's just like running through all of the things. He's like, he came prepared. His knife cut through my utility belt. He knows my moves. He fights.
Exactly like me. He knows my move. He knows my every
what
move.
I'm doing. He's like, this is like somebody who's planned this. And then there's an iconic moment in the fight where Jason, which, funnily enough, I did not know, Mike, about the tube that unleashes like tear gas.
Yeah.
So Jason just like grabs the cow and rips it off Batman, and he just like reveals Bruce Wayne's face. And all throughout this time, he's calling him Bruce as well. So he's
in the video that Batman was sent with, he looked over the video of the train flying by, and you hear the message in the animated, "You haven't lost your touch," and then the audio cuts out because the train flies by. When he enhanced that audio, it was like, "You haven't lost your touch, Bruce," and it's like that moment, Sheriff flies by, he's like,
"Oh
no,
shit,
no, this can't be." Like,
dude. And then
in
the next panel, he says, "Oh, I guess we can keep it even." And he takes off his helmet, and it's revealed it's Bruce's horror, and he's still wearing the Robin mask.
Yes, that's also what I was like. I was like, oh my god, it's Jason.
So like DC made a point to be like, "Hey, bitches.
Yeah.
Guess who's back?"
We brought him back. You can't keep him dead forever.
When a DC, like when a comic book character dies, they don't really stay dead for long. There's always going to be some way that they come back.
They just magically come back to life.
Whether it's a rebirth or it's like, in this case, the Lazarus Pit.
Yep, with Ra's al Ghul. Yep. So this was a really, really well done, way to bring him back. So,
absolutely.
And make him his own thing,
Right, and see, we see this, and you don't realize we talked about the psychological impact on these moments had on Batman, but his death and then coming back to life, only to find out that there's a new Robin in town shortly after he died, and now Jason's just there like,
"Oh, are you serious?
Yeah.
Like,
what?
You already replaced me after like a week?
So
2 weeks?
Literally, you get Jason who's heartbroken because, like,
Batman's too quick to move on with sidekicks.
his dad, essentially, because there's also a sweet moment where it's a flashback after he dies, or like in the culmination where they're like having popcorn together and sitting on a couch after Jason gets like his ass handed to him, like on one of their first patrols. Like
after he gets that kick,
he literally falls asleep in Bruce Wayne's lap, and like Bruce is just like eating popcorn, watching a movie while they're still in their suits, by the way.
And
and it's just like so sad for both of them, because like at the culmination of this all, you see the iconic, "Oh, I'm not asking you to kill everybody. I'm asking you to like just this one guy because he took me away from you."
Yeah, that was the most like heartbreaking thing, is that he took me away from you, and I was like, bro.
Dude,
bro.
I'm gonna get a bat tear.
Yeah,
bat tears all around.
Dude, but also this we see like as Victor said, Red Hood becomes his own entity, because after this moment, not only do we see kind of a reconciliation where they're just like, "Oh yeah, I need to go away," but then
I forgive you for what you did to me.
Yeah, essentially. Well, Red Hood just leaves, and then we get the beautiful start of Red Hood and the Outlaws, which is one of my favorite comics of all time, dude. Like, so good. But yeah, if you haven't guessed by now, my favorite anti-hero of all time is Jason Todd's Red Hood. Like, it took them so long for them to put him into any video game too. When he was in Injustice 2, I was just like,
oh my god, dude, that was a great game.
He was also in Arkham Knight, which was also a really good game, Batman Arkham Knight.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, they had the DLC for him.
Yeah, that too.
Oh my god.
We ended up facing Black Mask. Yeah, but yeah, really well done. So, well done.
That concludes my list. I'm like, man, I just think about just Red Hood and his whole storyline is just like so heartbreaking. because he's literally
It is.
like for those of you who aren't familiar with like what the Lazarus Pit is, it literally is. You ever see that scene, guys? From well, you guys know it. But you see that scene from like Sherlock Holmes 2, where he gets like injected with something and it fakes his death, and then they have to inject him with adrenaline to like bring him back to life. Yeah, and he runs. And he runs into the wall. So think of that, but like 10 times like.
So the best way I could describe it, right, also to that, is just it's some fucking fountain of youth on drugs.
Yeah, pretty much. It keeps Ra's al Ghul alive way longer than it should.
Yeah, right.
Let's be honest. How many times Ra's al Ghul should have died, but then just jumps into that pit and is immediately rejuvenated, young again? And it's like, well, he defeated death for like the 137th time, but he's Ra's al Ghul. What are you gonna do with him?
But there you go.
Yeah, that concludes our lists. Also, before we like wrap this whole shebang up, Mike, why don't you tell us a little bit about your YouTube channel?
So I run a YouTube channel, as I said in the beginning, MikesCamaro, and I essentially do gaming, but I'm not really at my full schedule release yet. I don't have a set schedule to when I upload my videos to kind of, here you go, here's another video. Like, I'm not, at this point, I don't have a set schedule, but when a video idea, when I come up with one, I just throw it out there. It's like, here it is, here's my new upload. But my show runs by seasons, so you can check out the new season whenever it comes out, season 4, which should be in a few months coming up, or maybe a month or two.
Yep, I'll put in the link in the chat.
Absolutely, and also, Victor, you're a beautiful man. After these episodes are up on Twitch and when it's a VOD format, Victor edits these videos and puts them onto YouTube, and the link will also be there as well, either in the description or a clickable a widget that you can do. It is, Victor, I can't thank you enough. Like towards the end of these podcasts, it always turns to me praising Victor as well. Thank God for you, because I would be gone. I would be lost.
You beautiful soul. Thank you.
Like Tim said, yeah. So pretty much after these are done, and once it's saved onto the Twitch channel, you can either check them out here, or if you want, you can also go to the Slightly Inappropriate YouTube channel, and that's where we'll also have the replays of these episodes, and you can check out the other episodes on there as well. I know that I believe it's our second episode of Slightly Inappropriate that is expiring soon here on Twitch, but it's still uploaded over there on YouTube, so you can still check it out over there in case you missed it or whatnot. So you can go there and whatnot, and you could save any of those podcasts on there. So so if you can't catch us live here, you can also check them out there.
Also, if you guys are new to the channel, I'm going to plug in our Discord, and you guys can join us over there. I've created a permanent link, so that should theoretically work this time. I know somebody mentioned to me, thank you, Matt, a shout out to Maverick Jack. He taught me how to do this. So again, shout out to Matt, best Ana player, best Mercy. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, feel free, join our Discord, hang out. We are always, we're getting more active in the Discord, I think. We're getting more active. We're trying to reach out to you guys. We love to hear your ideas. We love to just talk to you guys as well. Let us know how we can improve this and what topics to talk about, really. Like, we love your input, guys. We love the chat and being active. We love seeing this. Oh my God. Yes, Victor.
Yeah, and speaking of topics, Tim, I know we have a new topic coming up for Monday. You want to tell them about that topic?
Ooh, yes. Grab your katanas, ladies and gentlemen. So, Monday's topic. We're going to be talking about, I believe we're going to be talking about our favorite animes as well.
Yep.
And it's another list coming at you guys. And don't worry, guys. These lists are going to keep coming out, but we're also going to be delving into some more hot takes because we have another hot take coming out very soon. But for Monday's episode, we are doing our top anime choices. C9, don't even get me started, you Genji man.
I know, the dude who plays Genji is calling us the weebs.
No.
Yeah.
No.
So along with that, we're going to have a very
See,
Very-
I'm just gonna say this real quick. See, I bet you're the person who knows how to recite Genji's ult too.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't cause me.
I love you, C9.
We love you, C9. Also, joining us should be joining us is also a very close friend of myself and Victor's, a buddy that stems from Victor's days of high school, and a buddy that extends to my community college days. Our buddy Rocco, love that dude, love that man so much, and it's gonna be a fun time.
Yep. So
yeah.
we will be having another guest on Monday's episode. Yep. So I'm sure it'll be a good time for the weebs.
Yeah. And let me stress to you guys, Rocco said, and I quote, "I can talk anime all day," and like multiple outlets. When I reached out to him, I was just like, "Hey, bud,
you don't have all day."
Yeah, you like anime, right?" And he was like, "I can talk anime all day." I was just like, "All right, let's do it."
So there we go. That's what we have in store for Monday. So be sure to be here at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time on Monday.
Right.
So, yep.
Absolutely. Yep. And also, can we, buddy, can we raid Banshee?
Oh, Banshee is on?
Yeah, Banshee is on. Can we go ahead and raid Banshee?
Yeah.
So, everybody.
So it's /raid.
Right? /raid Banshee Kid 23, all one word. So, 24 hour stream confirmed.
Oh,
hey,
shit,
guys.
Man, fuck. What was it? Banshee Kid 23?
Yeah. So thank you guys for joining us. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Mike, for being our
guest. Thank you guys
guest.
for having me. It was a blast. I had a great time. Thank you.
We're so glad that you made time for us, man. And for all these shenanigans and more, be sure to follow us at Slightly-Inappropriate _. Everybody, come join us as we show some love to a very wholesome human being, one of our closest friends, Banshee Kid. Also, dude's mental. Love him. Also, check out his music, Banshee Kid.
Yep, and
great,
there you go.
Great
so, raid now.
Let's get it.